Okay, so go ahead, Sandrine.
Welcome to my presentation. The title of the presentation is Using Storyboards to Enhance Learners' Creativity in an EFL Classroom. I am Nkumbe Epole Sandrine, an ELT teacher from Cameroon. As objectives of this presentation, at the end of the lesson, we are going to look at three different issues. First of all, we will evaluate the role of storyboards in our modern world, and then we'll explore the rationale behind using storyboards in an EFL classroom, as well as identify and use some strategies for classroom implementation. Those are what we are going to see as objectives. As an agenda, we are going to look at the general knowledge behind storyboarding, what a storyboard is, types of storyboards, how important is storyboarding to us in teaching, the procedure used in carrying out a storyboard lesson, and at the end, we'll look at a sample lesson using a storyboard. What is the general idea behind storyboards? Reading has always been considered as a common disability in learning amongst students. No doubt, scholars have come up with suggestions on different methods to enhance these reading abilities. Amongst the different methods used to help develop reading skills is the storyboard method. However, in order to succeed in this method of teaching, scholars had to take into account the linguistic level of the learners as well as their mental attitude. The content and real-life situation also needs to be put into consideration, especially when formulating the type of language in order to make the lesson very interesting. Other studies have proven that the use of storyboards has been an effective method and has made a very positive impact in helping learners develop reading skills. What then is a storyboard? According to Iseman and Blatter 2014, storyboarding is a multimodal tool that can be used to explore the plot and characters of a storyline through sequenced illustration of a given context. Pedagogically, it is used in a classroom to help learning and productivity in a wide range of contexts and wide range of genres such as reading and writing. Storyboardings can sometimes be simple or complex depending on what circumstances you're using them, but then they are usually hand-drawn or presented in images. Examples of these storyboardings are drawings, sketches, reference images, and photographs. Here is an example of a storyboard. The story behind this storyboard is quite interesting. But then we'll go straight ahead to types of storyboards. There are different types of storyboards, but I'm going to talk about three. One, the traditional storyboards, the thumbnail storyboards, and animated storyboards. What is a traditional storyboard? Traditional storyboards are usually when we use paper and pencils to draw, to illustrate and bring a visual image about what we want the learners to learn. They can be sequentially arranged on the wall or in a book using a spiral bound. Many traditional storyboards also have written notes which describes what happens at each scene. It can also be edited. Traditional storyboards can be simple and complex. We have an example of a traditional storyboard as is presented in this image below. So it's a sketch or a drawing from students based on a story about a man who goes to his office and his office is described. And we are told what he does once he gets into his office. That is, he takes off his jacket and sits on his desk. And because of some confrontation with someone, he had to take out his gun, and somebody was accidentally injured in the process. After we look at a traditional storyboard, it's a thumbnail storyboard. Thumbnail storyboards are more of sketches. Yes, they are put in a post-stamp manner. It is really different from a traditional storyboard because it takes less time since we just have to put images together. They can also be used to draft quickly our ideas before making drawings or in a more detailed version. And this is an example of our thumbnail storyboard. Another type of storyboard is the animated storyboard. Technology has made it very possible for us to create a very complex storyboard with little or no stress, with some dialogue and music. So animated storyboards are different sketches which are filmed to show the proposed timing, pace, and an overall visual flow of the scene. Below is an example of an animated storyboard where a young boy has a conversation concerning digital use. Interestingly, he's speaking with a bird, and we have pop-up dialogues at each of the different stages until the end, just like a movie. Storyboards are very important to us, and that's why we are going to look at the importance of storyboarding. Storyboarding helps to condense ideas into a coherent manner. When ideas are so flashy in our minds, storyboards help bring them together. It also helps us to communicate with other people. Our ideas are better communicated with others using storyboards. When we use these storyboards, people can be able to understand exactly where we want our storyline to go to, especially when we do not know how to put these ideas in writing. Third, it helps our students communicate non-verbal languages or messages through images. So instead of discussing, trying to convey their ideas through discourse, they can easily use them by drawing or representing them in images. The fourth importance is it improves learners' verbal abilities, their thinking skills, and creativity, as well as their imagination. And lastly, learners will not be bored in the classroom while carrying out a storyboarding class. As a matter of fact, while carrying out the task, they will be discussing with each other and hence help in their fluency. What is the procedure in carrying out a storyboarding lesson? First, you hand or draw a template of a storyboard on the board for the students. If you're working with a classroom with very few learners, you can go an extra mile to print out templates and hand them to students. And if it's a large classroom or if you're working in groups, then you hand it to them or draw a template on the board. Next, ask students to draw the main ideas. The main ideas in the story is what should be represented on each box, in each box on the storyboard. And then they'll come forward to share their storyboarding with others through presentation. Now we're going to look at a sample lesson. We're going to look at a sample lesson where we can fully illustrate or demonstrate how a storyboarding can be carried out in a class. We are looking at a reading comprehension lesson. And of course, we know that a comprehension lesson has three different activities or three different stages. That's the pre-reading activity stage, while reading stage, and the post-reading stage. During the pre-reading activity, the teacher presents a picture of a farm and asks questions to the learners. Questions such as, which place is that on the picture? We'll have answers such as, Madam, it's a plot of land, or it's a farm, or it's an area where they are digging, they want to build a house. And of course, the answer we expect is it's a farm. Then we'll ask them again, why do you say it's a farm? And then they will tell us because the woman is digging a hole, or the man is planting, or we can see some plants there. And then we ask them, what do we do in a farm? And then they'll tell us we work there to plant crops so that we can eat. And then the teacher will announce to the learners that, okay, we are going to read a passage which is titled Farming. Learners will be expected to read the passage on their own. Mr. Paul, his wife, and 2 daughters decide to spend the weekend carrying out an unusual activity that is something which they will rarely do. He tells his family, it's time to work hard so we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. So we must go to the farm. They pick up their equipment such as a hoe, cutlass, and their baskets. As the sun was about to rise, they headed to the farm together and they sang while walking. When they arrived, Mr. Paul was cutting the grass. Mama was tilling the soil, while the daughters were planting maize and beans. At midday, they decided to sit under a large tree to take a rest as well as share a meal. At sunset, they all decided to return home after a long day of hard work. So, at the end of the reading exercise, the teacher hands the storyboard templates to each group or to individual students, depending on the circumstances, and asks them to illustrate the main ideas in each block and write down a short caption from the story and share to the class. In each block, they are supposed to illustrate the characters, their working tools, the first time of the day, the setting, actions which took place in the farm, and the last time of the day. We'll give them 5 to 10 minutes to carry out that task, and this is what we expect them to come up with. A storyboard of Mr. Paul, his wife, and his 2 kids going to the farm with their tools, working tools such as boots, a hoe, a basket, a bag, a watering can, and looking at the 4th image, there is a sun up there. So we are told that they were going to the farm in the morning when the sun was about to rise. And of course, our setting is a farm, and we have a block for a farm. And while they're at the farm, we are told that Mr. Paul was tilling, and the kids were under the tree resting. That's an action. And at the end of the day, when the sun is about to set, Mr. Paul, his wife, and his kids return home. Thank you for your kind attention. We are open. I'm available for any questions.